Edgar is one of the newest brawlers in the game to receive a hypercharge, and it is so broken. This video will feature the best tips and tricks in order to play the most emo brawler in the game, Edgar. With Edgar's main attack, he will hit enemies with quick punches from his scarf, healing himself for each landed punch. He will be able to do 1080 damage and heal for 369 health per punch at max level. Now what's also really good about Edgar's main attack is he actually has a 0.4 second cooldown, which is actually really fast. Plus he already has a really fast reload speed, which makes it really easy for him to just continue the pressure onto the enemies. Now for Edgar's super, he will be able to jump over any obstacle and he'll get a temporary speed boost. And what's also really good about Edgar, he's kind of like Daryl, where they can charge the super over time. If you were to just sit in a match and do absolutely nothing, it'll take you only 30 seconds to fully charge your super. And actually with his hypercharge, if you were to just sit there and do nothing as well, it'll only take you a minute and 12 seconds to charge his hypercharge. While in the air, Edgar's actually going to be immune to all damage except for damage over time and status effects. Now on landing, he will actually boost his movement speed by 200 points for 2.5 seconds. This movement speed buff can come in handy after using your super in case you guys need to still chase down the enemy, or if you need to escape the enemies because you're low. I mean, it could just be used in a lot of different ways. Now one of the downsides with Edgar's main attack is he has one of the shortest attack ranges in the entire game. So it is a must that you guys are staying close to the enemies in order for you guys to hit them. Now if you don't have your super, what I'd recommend doing is using walls and other obstacles to maneuver around them to get closer to the enemies. Now if you guys do have your super, obviously just go ahead and jump onto the enemy because it's going to be the quickest and the easiest way to get closer to the enemies. Or you can even like apply like a bush camping strategy. You can just wait in a bush, wait for enemies to come closer to you, and that's how you can attack them from a close range. I mean, Edgar's super is probably one of the most important parts to his entire kit, so it's important you guys are trying to chain as much as possible and using it when you guys absolutely have to. Now something in his kit that can actually help him charge his super up is using the Let's Fly gadget. With Let's Fly, Edgar's super charges 525% faster for 4 seconds. This increases the charge speed per second from 3.33% to 20.8%. This gadget charges 83.6% of his super over its duration. Now this Let's Fly gadget is just super clutch because it can always come in handy when you guys need to like do a quick ambush onto an enemy, or if you guys need to make a quick getaway and you guys need your super right now, just go to activate this gadget and most of the time you'll be able to get your super. Now the time and place I'd recommend you guys use this gadget is at the start of every match, because since you're going to be starting off the game with a 0% of your charge super, if you already use this gadget, and you'll automatically after a couple seconds have 80% of your super. And most of the time at the start of the match, you're going to be at a very far distance from the enemies and it's going to be very difficult for you guys to get close to them. So by you automatically charging your super within maybe the first 20 seconds of the game, this can help you guys already get some instant pressure right off the bat. I'd also recommend if you guys use your super and then you end up dying and you respawn with absolutely 0% of your super charge, even if it's not at the start of the match, you can still use the Let's Fly gadget to get your super back even quicker. Now Edgar's second gadget we're going to be talking about is Hardcore. With Hardcore, Edgar gets a shield that protects him from the next 3300 damage, and the shield gets weaker over time. The shield will actually decay for 165 health every half a second. And also, let's say you have maybe like a very little amount left on your Hardcore shield, whatever damage the enemy deals to you, that is just gonna go ahead and continue on to Edgar's normal health. Now this gadget is gonna be highly recommended when you guys are playing against a lot of like high bursting brawlers that can do a lot of damage at close range, or maybe they just have a very quick unload speed and you need to be protecting yourself from them. So what I'd recommend doing is activating your Hardcore gadget and then jump into the enemy, so at least you have a little bit of extra health in case the enemies are going to be doing a lot of damage to you. This will just overall increase your survivability and increase your guys' chances of getting that enemy down. Since Edgar's attack range is very short and you need to be getting up close in order to deal damage to the enemies, most of the time I'd recommend using the Hardcore gadget when playing Edgar. Now for Edgar's star power, the first one we're going to be talking about is Hard Landing. With Hard Landing, Edgar's super will also deal 1350 damage to nearby enemies upon landing. Now if the enemies that you're jumping onto have less than 1350 health, this can be just an easy way for you to just get them down because you won't have to really worry about them dealing burst damage to you, because once you land on top of them, they're just gonna completely die. Or the other time I can really see Hard Landing coming in handy whatsoever is in Heist, because in Heist you're gonna be having that stationary target, and if you guys use your Hard Landing star power and you guys jump onto the save, you'll be able to do extra damage onto that. But most of the time I really wouldn't recommend you guys use this star power because Fisticuffs is gonna be the one you guys gotta be using. With Fisticuffs, Edgar receives 25% more healing from the damage he deals. This increases his healing rate per punch from his base 35% to 43.75%. Now this gadget can come in very handy when playing against like the very beefy and high HP brawlers, because since you're going to be able to deal more damage to them, that is just going to be more health you're going to basically be gaining from that. Because if you guys think about it, the more health that the enemies actually have, the more you're just going to be able to keep on constantly attacking them, and the more you'll be able to heal yourself up. And this is why this gadget actually pairs up very well with the Hardcore gadget, because you're going to be facing against a lot of high bursting short range brawlers, right? So if you guys combine the Hardcore gadget, use it, jump onto the enemies, and you guys can go in and heal yourself up, you guys will have the Hardcore shield to protect you, plus you guys will be healing more from every punch because of the Fisticuff star power. power. This would just overall maximize your survivability whenever playing Edgar. And you know what the cherry on top is? You can actually amplify this effect by the damage gear. So if you guys are below 50% of your total health, damage gear would go and kick in, and you guys will get even more healing with fisticuffs because of the damage gear. Now, while we're on the topic of gears, damage gear, yes, is the first gear you guys gotta be using, but the second gear I'd recommend you guys go is the gadget charge gear. Now, the main reason why I'm making this Edgar guide in the first place is because of his broken hypercharge. When activated after using his super, Edgar's supercharge rate and reload speed is increased for a few seconds. He will also gain the natural buffs from a hypercharge like a 25% damage boost, a 25% shield boost, and a 20% speed boost. Now, in my opinion, this is the second best hypercharge in this entire update after Fang's one. Now, the main reason this hypercharge is so good is because it increases the rate of his supercharge rate by a lot, plus his reload speed is increased drastically too. Now, these are the two most important things that you guys need to have whenever you guys are jumping onto the enemies while hypercharged. Plus, you guys will already be getting the buffs from the hypercharge, and if you guys have the damage gear and you guys are low with him, you're just gonna be dealing so much damage per punch. There's basically nothing the enemies are gonna be able to do to stop a hypercharge Edgar unless you have like a Charlie Cocoon or like an Otis Mute, for example. Now, just some general tips whenever you guys are playing Edgar. Whenever you guys jump onto the enemies, I'd recommend going against like the brawlers that have a very slow unload speed. Brawlers like Pam and 8-Bit that take forever to unload their entire clip are the brawlers you guys need to be targeting, because realistically most of the time whenever you guys jump onto those kind of brawlers, you would actually be able to unload all of your ammo before they can even unload one clip. Plus, if you guys are actually good at strafing away and dodging the enemy's attacks when you guys are close range against those kind of brawlers, this will help increase your guys' survivability and be able to just get off more damage overall. Now, a general strategy you guys must have down with playing Edgar is you guys need to be attacking enemies when they are chasing you down. Because as strange as it may sound, you're actually extending your attack range when enemies are trying to chase you down. Now, you guys just have to be aware, if the roles are switched and you are actually the ones chasing down the enemy, yes, your attack range will end up being shorter. This is just kind of a hard mechanic to kind of explain, but the same kind of thing goes for like El Primo or even Buzz, for example. So if you guys don't really know what I'm talking about, just try and go ahead and play a game with Edgar and have the enemies try and chase you down and try and attack them while they're chasing you. Now, whenever Edgar is in an intense fight and he actually manages to charge his super, go ahead and use it, because while you're in the air, you're going to be dodging all those incoming attacks, right? This is just going to be a very useful technique in order to just dodge some incoming attacks and stay alive a little bit longer. Plus, if you guys using the hard landing star power, when you guys land on top of the enemies again, you guys will be dealing even more damage onto them. Now, one of the most brutal parts about playing Edgar is playing against those high bursting close range brawlers, right? What I recommend doing with Edgar is try to bait out the enemy's ammo. If you guys can bait them to use at least most of their ammo and then you guys jump onto them, they'll have absolutely nothing in order to burst you down. Plus, if you guys using the fisticuff star power plus the hardcore gadget combination, even if the enemies manage to reload and deal damage onto you, the shield from the hardcore landing gadget will be able to protect you, plus the healing from the fisticuff star power will be able to offset the damage the enemies will be dealing to you. If there's one thing I'd recommend you guys take away from this video, is to constantly be chaining your supers and be very selective when using it, because it comes in very clutch in a lot of different situations. Well, there you guys go, a complete guide on how to play Edgar. Because of his broken hypercharge, you guys gotta be buying it and playing him and pushing him right now. Well, anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that brawler guide, I highly recommend you go check out this brawler guide right here.